All right, guys, we're back. And I wanted to just take a video and kind of talk about the interview that I had with Ian Smith from ESIC. If you didn't already know, Ian is the commissioner of the ESIC board, which oversees or is partnered with most of the league organizers or the tournament organizers in Counter-Strike. And they are an impartial enforcement body to enforce rules such as stream sniping. They handled the coach cheating scandal. They're handling the match fixing scandal. They basically take care of the integrity of Counter-Strike for all the leagues that want to cooperate with them. So each league would sign up as a member under ESIC and they have to provide funding to ESIC in order to get their issues taken care of, or in order for ESIC to maintain the integrity of their tournaments and their leagues and stuff like that. So I was over the moon when Ian responded to me saying that he was going to do an interview. He was exactly the guy that I wanted to talk to, I guess, kind of put the bug in his ear that just say, people are still concerned about the integrity of the LAN environment, and point out some issues that I felt should have been taken care of. And in my opinion, they weren't that hard to take care of cost-wise or implementation-wise. So he was precisely the perfect person that I wanted to talk to in order to, I guess, try and improve the integrity of Counter-Strike. And for the entire interview, I was extremely happy with it. I thought he was super honest and directly answered every single question that I had for him. He didn't skate around the issue or anything. He didn't try and avoid a question. He directly answered every single question and provided thorough detail, a little bit more than I was even expecting, right? I didn't really have as much back and forth with him as I would have liked, more conversational. And that's partly because I only had him for half an hour. He's got a lot of stuff to do, as do I actually. And I'm not a great interview. Obviously, I'm not a professional interviewer or anything like that. So I was struggling. It's hard to listen to what he's saying and be engaged in what he's saying and be able to provide responses for it. And then I'm also kind of going over my list of questions next. So I'm kind of playing a balancing act. I didn't want him to just say one thing and then like a robot, I go to the next question. I wanted to engage with what he was saying and provide follow-ups and stuff like that. And I feel like I could have done a little bit better than that, or a little bit better than I did, but I'll work on that. It worked out good anyways, because honestly, me and him could have went back and forth for hours probably, right? So I only had that limited time window to work with him, and I'm happy that I just shut my mouth and I let him kind of do the talking. I picked out the most important questions that I wanted to ask, and he answered them, right? I knew that he was a detailed speaker. I watched his previous interviews, and I knew that he was a very direct and to the point kind of guy, a no bullshit kind of guy, right? I guess is what I'm getting at. I've seen his interview from HLTV and the Richard Lewis interview that he did. So I kind of knew that once I asked a question, he was going to expand on it greatly and go into great detail. So I'm glad that I only really prepared a handful of questions for him to take care of. I was a little, I was really happy with the interview, obviously, but I didn't agree with everything that he was saying. He mentioned that one of the better controls, or one of the ways they kind of police the scene, is just by going off what the pro players are saying. And the pro players don't have a great history with that. They were all calling Robs a cheater when he was coming up. They're calling this War02K guy a cheater. I don't know. I just feel like the pros aren't necessarily the best police for the scene. And he was mentioning how, they'll get some complaints from the pro players, and then they'll launch their investigation and see if they have any findings. But there's certainly going to be people that fall through the cracks in that type of situation, especially, if a guy's using a low FOV aimbot, maybe it's increasing the headshot pixel radius by 1, or just enough to improve you by 5 or 10% as a player. No pro player will ever detect that that's being used against them. Yeah, I don't know what I was expecting for an answer, but I guess the answer that he gave, I just didn't think that was a great way to kind of police the scene a little bit. There's definitely cheats out there that you could stand over someone's shoulder and watch them play, and you'd never know that they're cheating. So how can a pro player that's playing on some other team even know, right? Like I've told this story before. I think I told it on stream, but when I was playing 1.6, I probably played 5,000 hours in 1.6 with a teammate. I was on the same team basically my entire time in 1.6, and my teammate was cheating, and I had no fucking idea whatsoever. He never got called out by other teams, like not at a higher rate than normal, not at a higher rate than me as a player. And he slept at my house. I landed with him. I knew him very well. We were buddy in game, and we always agreed on how to play the game and gameplay wise. And he was a very good player, but he got banned for cheating. And then I watched his demo, and I'm like, holy shit, he was fucking cheating. So I guess what I'm getting at is, you can't rely on pro players policing each other. It's kind of the point I'm trying to drive home there. Ian also kind of mentioned that the anti-cheat really wasn't catching many people. He said the last person they caught with anti-cheat was 4 years ago. But he also seemed, I mean, he didn't say it directly, but he seemed pretty sure. Obviously, he's the integrity guy. He was pretty sure that there was no cheating at the high level. Just kind of what he was saying. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but and that's I don't know. And we were talking about like vulnerabilities in the LAN environment, and we identified bad USB as a threat or an attack vector for a LAN environment. And it just seemed like we weren't putting two and two together, you know what I mean? If we're identifying a way for somebody to cheat at a LAN, and people have done it in the past, like he caught a guy using cheats in his mouse at a LAN, yet they weren't able to convince ESL and these other tournament organizers to enact policy to prevent players from bringing their own mice. I just feel like there's a disconnect there. If you've caught people that are cheating with software in their mice, you can't be confident that there's no cheating at major tournaments if you're allowing everybody to compete with their own mice. That just doesn't logically kind of make sense for me. But don't get me wrong, I'm not saying there's people cheating on LAN. Like if I was a betting man, which I'm not, and I had to guess how many people are cheating in the pro scene, I would say 0. I think that's the safest bet. But the problem is that there's a possibility for it, and there's a history of it. Like Kaylee has cheated. Some pros have cheated, and they've gotten banned. Forsaken wasn't a pro, but he was a decent level player. India was considered kind of tier 2-ish Counter-Strike. And he was cheating and winning money on LAN. So my problem isn't that there might be guys cheating at LAN. My problem is that we have an obvious attack vector, which is hardware in mice, and you can name a couple other ones, but the players using their own peripherals is the major one. Like, why are we leaving that open when it's been identified as an attack vector for LAN, right? And how can you be confident that nothing's going on until you close this very obvious issue with the security of your LAN environment? And I didn't think that the counter arguments against players using new peripherals or tournament provided peripherals, I didn't think those were very strong. And this was Ian just telling me basically what the tournament organizers were saying. I thought the counter argument was poor, saying it costs too much money to implement. Like, we're only looking at like maybe $250 a player. Guys, like, I see the stage works that you have and the fireworks you're setting off and the light shows and the bands and stuff. And I know these organizers are making an accounting decision, and they're saying, having all this crazy shit and all these theatrics at the LANs is going to bring in more eyeballs, and it's going to make us look impressive to stakeholders, etc. But I know LAN security isn't sexy. Nobody's going to tune in to watch ESL for their sick fucking LAN security, right? But it's still important, and I think it's important to a lot of people, not just me. And I just wish that they prioritized it a little bit higher, right? You could easily get rid of, like I said, a couple fireworks here, some confetti there, drop one at some of the light shows or whatever. Get rid of some of that shit. Save some money and instead buy these teams' peripherals. There's also the option that these teams are sponsored anyways. You know, these sponsors will probably gladly provide the peripherals if you put out a press release and say, hey, Logitech is partnering with ESL in providing greater security for our events. We thank them for blah, 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 fucking increasing the security at our events and shit. They'll probably be all over that, and they'll provide some of the shit for free. Another one of the issues is players use older peripherals, and this is something that Riot had to deal with as well. Honestly, just get with the program. If you're a pro and you're using a custom mouse and you're like your custom sensors, etc., like I know nothing how to custom mouse from Logitech. Guess what? That's not how we do it anymore. Now we need to get a standard peripheral, and you need to tell us which one to buy. That's how we're doing things now. It's not that big of a deal, in my opinion. Like, these are pro players. They've probably changed mice several times throughout their career. And, yeah, you just got to tell them to get with the program now. Same with any other security measure, right? You don't like playing in a booth? Tough tits. Get in the fucking booth. It's just, that's policy. And if you want to play, you follow the policy. They may even be able to pitch it to the teams as a scenario where they'd want to be in that situation, right? Like, these teams should want to compete on the most level and secure playing field, right? They shouldn't want there to be LAN vulnerabilities. Like, hello, shouldn't you want to be in a very secure environment when your players who practice 8 hours a day and have 14,000 hours in Counter-Strike, don't you want them to be, you know, increase the odds of them being in a fair and kind of just environment? I feel like that's an angle that they could pitch as well, but I don't know. I guess I'm just talking out loud here. I know that's not necessarily what's going to happen, but anyways, that's another avenue they can go down. The TOs basically had the same argument against getting pen testing for their LAN as well, and just too much money. Honestly, it's you know, if you're ESL, it's a one-time cost. It's not a recurring cost. Same with the mice, really. It's kind of a one-time cost. Like, players don't change peripherals that often. But just, you know, I don't know. Like, I guess I value the integrity of Counter-Strike higher than some people, but I would be ecstatic if ESL put out a tweet saying that their LAN was getting pen tested and they were going to try and increase their security measures, and they're bringing on cybersecurity or cyber savvy type of people to help them out. It would make me happy. I guess it's not their top priority, right? They're more focused on, they're making an accounting decision to what will get them more views, and they believe that increased security is just not one of those things. I was also really disappointed to hear, you know, throughout my time bitching and moaning about players using their own peripherals and stuff like that, I really thought it was a matter of just ignorance from the tournament organizers. I thought maybe they just didn't know that was an attack vector, and they thought, you know, maybe they thought they were just doing the best they could, and they just didn't know, right? But the way Ian talked about it, it wasn't a matter of ignorance. They knew that it was an attack vector, and they're well aware that it's a problem with their LANs and can be exploited. But they made the conscious choice to decide to not remediate that issue, right? And that is that's a lot worse. I don't know how to fix that one. You know, it's been brought to their attention that it's a problem. It was brought to their attention by Ian, and they chose to not fix it. So, like I said, I don't know what to do about that one, guys. Anyways, I guess the last thing before I kind of close this off is Ian's, it seems like his focus is a lot more on the betting scene, which is fine. You know, the integrity of tier 2 and tier 3 Counter-Strike still matters a lot. It's really not been something that was on my radar much. I've always focused on tier 1 Counter-Strike. But I'm starting to dig in a lot more about some of these matches, and especially the whole FBI investigation thing that kind of went viral. And I'm seeing that, yes, it is a big problem. I don't know. I don't know what to call it. This is actually my third time recording this video, right? Because I guess I'm morally conflicted. Like, these betting websites really opened a fucking can of worms, man. It's not great. You know, it started with the skins, and now it's real world, real money. And they're putting odds on games that are in ESEA Advanced. we're talking 2 tiers below ESL Pro League. Like, these teams, they're not great. Like, I know the Marv and the Shanks, or Marv, Shanks, and Poise, I know they were like 18, 19 when they were throwing. That's getting to the age where you should know what you're doing. But there's guys in ESEA Advanced much younger than that. I promise you that. I just try and put myself back in the shoes, when I was 16 years old and I was grinding Counter-Strike 1.6 hard, right? If I had a match come up and somebody offered me $2,000 to throw it, like, man, I don't know what I'd fucking do. I don't know. And I know I have an older audience on this channel as well. And, put yourself in their shoes when you were younger. It's just a hard position. I'm not trying to say I don't have any sympathy for the guys that were systematic with this and that were ringleading it. And, I don't have any sympathy for them. But I guess I'm just hoping that lives aren't ruined for guys that just kind of got caught up in the tornado, And yeah, it's just a tough situation for me to even think about. Like, I don't wish an FBI investigation on anybody that throws in a video game. To me, the reason why I love Counter-Strike and I've kind of stuck around as long as I have is certainly not because of the fucking betting. The betting really, I understand it's bringing in a lot of money. I understand the sponsorship deals that come from betting and how, everybody in the scene can make money because now we have these humongous sponsors throwing around a shitload of money from the betting world. But that's not Counter-Strike to me. And I would much prefer a smaller scene with no betting whatsoever. If you told me I could get rid of all the betting, but Counter-Strike would be 50% smaller, I'd gladly take that every day. I wouldn't even consider the other choice. And I guess that's just me. And I've gone through some HLTV threads. It looks like betting is popular amongst a wide range of people as far as I can tell, but it ain't for me. And I guess I just have no sympathy for those. They brought in this whole shitstorm and it kind of blew up in their faces with all these fixed matches. And I just hope everybody does all right at the end of this FBI investigation. I don't want anybody to get fucking fucked for this. I guess, yeah. Okay, guys, that's my 2 cents. I'm going to sign out, and I hope to see you on the next video. I'll catch you next time. Peace.